I'm Robert Swartz. I'm the director of the National Center for Teaching Thinking in the United States. And that's a center that is a service organization for teachers and schools to help teachers learn how they can help students learn to think better. And currently, right now, we do a lot of work internationally. Okay, we do a lot of work in Chile, but especially in Spain. We're working with 8 or 9 schools in Spain. But also we do work in Asia, in New Zealand, in Australia, in Malaysia. There's a lot of interest in the kinds of changes that are needed in order to help students to not only learn and understand the curriculum, but to learn how to think more carefully and more skillfully, especially in connection with the things that they're learning in school. I was invited by a friend of mine who's a high school teacher to come to his classroom because he was doing some new and different things with his students. And they were learning American history, and they were working from a textbook. And in effect, he actually helped them to stand back from their textbook and raise questions about whether what's in their textbook is accurate and reliable or not. And he then worked with them to try to teach them how you can figure that out, how you can make that judgment. And so what I saw there was a teacher teaching students to engage in some critical thinking. And I thought, well, it isn't critical thinking the way a lot of people think of it, all negative, because maybe their textbook is very accurate. But they have to stand back and they have to get information that will help them to figure out whether it's good information they're getting. So that's really what started me on all of this. And other teachers wanted to find out what happened in this classroom. And so I started working with other teachers, and I found that many teachers were very, very receptive. They were very interested, because they knew that the standard kind of teaching that people do, which is help students to memorize things, and rote learning, and where the teacher is in front of the classroom and the students are passive, just taking notes, that doesn't work. That's a complete failure. And students may learn things, they learn things to pass tests, but then they forget them, and they certainly don't integrate most of them into their lives. So many of these teachers were really interested in change. And what was exciting for me wasn't just the teachers and what the teachers could do and their interest, but the students. Because I saw students become entirely different people when they were challenged and they could work together with other students, and they came up with their own ideas, they had to defend them, and it was just wonderful. In fact, I at first thought this was only for high school students, high school and university. But I quickly started working with primary grade teachers, and in fact teachers of infants. And what I found was that they could do similar things with these kids, and that in fact even very young children, 3-year-old, 4-year-old, they're already doing some thinking, and they're very receptive to stopping, to sharing, okay, to finding out what other students have to say. You just have to create the right kind of atmosphere in the classroom. What we want to help students learn to do is to do kinds of thinking that they do every day of their lives, but do it better, more carefully, and with more skill. For example, making decisions. I mean, many people make snap decisions and they don't think much about it. Well, you can teach students how to think more carefully, how to ask the right questions, get the right information. Who would have imagined it even 10 years ago? But we and students have access to a tremendous amount of information, okay, in a way that makes textbooks almost obsolete. They don't need them because they have their iPhones, and they have Google, and they can enter on Google anything, and they'll get a list of websites they can click on and get any information they want about anything. And I think it's absolutely wonderful, because it really makes us think about how much more students can learn. The challenge is how to help students learn how to use what they get on the internet responsibly and well. But it's even more than that, because you know that anybody can put anything they want on the internet and make it sound good. And if somebody puts some misinformation on the internet and our students go to it and they get it and they use it, etc., then they're not really going to be learning what they should be learning. So the real challenge is how to help students to stand back, like that teacher friend of mine did in 1976, to stand back not from their textbooks anymore, but from what they're seeing on the screens, and to figure out how likely it is that it's reliable and good information. And they have to find out about the authors, who posted this, what the background of the people is, where the information came from. And those are ordinary things that they can find out, but we have to teach them so that they make that a habit.